in the streets, huh? They can murder you on tape now. How I'm supposed to eat, huh? When my pockets getting raped, why? Officers oversee the demise of the family. Prisons are property. I'ma buy one and release me. That's the sound of your last dream. That's the sound of your dead son. How he only 12, but you saw him and he had a gun?
There's the idea that, again, some people feel validated in what they're doing because other people who are much more famous or just from America have said, you know what, I'm gonna get on a track with you. So if you think about Ko, I actually forgot who this guy is, but just escapes me. But again, having an actual black person on my record. If you look at Keith Ape, you've got Waka Flocka, ASAP Ferg, who are famous in America, who decided, you know what, we like Ichima so much, we're gonna do a remix. And that's actually how most Americans heard about it, was because of the remix. And, you know, seeing that wild video, right? Now, as we come to a conclusion, there's a gentleman from Indonesia, right? Rich Chigga is, well, now he's 18 years old. He taught himself English for 2 reasons, right? He said it on a podcast. He said the first reason I learned English was because my dad stuck me in an English program after school. I hated it. English was dumb. Nobody spoke it around where he's from. He actually speaks, I think it's 6 languages now. He had no reason to learn English being in Indonesia. But then he was on YouTube, he started watching rap videos, and he was like, wait a minute. This is cool. I like what's going on. I can only understand a little bit of it. So then he actually invested himself in becoming fluent in English. So not only he could understand what was happening, but then he actually started writing about some of the social inequalities that happen in Indonesia. He says his favorite rappers are the Wu-Tang Clan, right? Now, when you talk about, again, cosigns, right? Is it gonna play? Oh wait, no. I think it's this one, right? So here's Rich Chigga, and they've actually got a video of famous rappers watching his video, including Ghostface Killah of the Wu-Tang Clan. They're like, yo, who is this dude can rap a little bit?
Rich Chigga.
Let's get it.
Oh, my nigga. It's my fucking guy. Yeah. Yo, this nigga got those Algebra and
I don't know what the hell he was thinking. He got a goddamn fanny pack on right there. Hell no.
Oh, you fucking it up, though. I like it. Oh.
This is the hardest nigga of all time.
He snaps. This is my guy here. This is Rich Chigga.
He even found a way to say nigga without saying it. It's a genius.
He said when you come for a chigga like me. That was dope. I want you to send me the link to all these shits that you showed me, man.
It's alright. Yeah, it don't. The music don't match him though. But it's alright. It's alright.
This shit fire. Yeah, he's wild. This nigga.
Nah, this is the hardest nigga of all time.
So as you saw, you've got some people who are legends, some people who are new. Ghostface Killah actually did the remix of this song, was very happy to do it at the end of the video. I'm not going to play it out, but at the very end he says, oh, do you know this guy? They're like, yeah, we know. I'm getting on the remix. They're like, wait, seriously? He's like, no, tell him I want to get on the remix. And that's what happened. Now, same thing with the Higher Brothers. Again, they're recently introduced. It's funny, because in the Higher Brothers, you've actually got the people who they're copying, the Migos, reacting to their video.
I'm fucking with it already. Famous Dex is on this? Whoa.
They look dope. They look so dope.
Oh my God, they're lit. Yo, they're hitting synchronized.
Shit hard. It sound like some crazy shit.
He got raised, let's go. And he's gonna tell me it was so dope. Hey, right. She all made in China. Ooh, so good Canada and China. Yo, all that is hard.
And this famous Dex looking nigga right here, he just like, he put that nail in the coffin for them.
They know they turned up right now. Like they sweat, they so confident with it. Look at me, so she doing like this in the video. He doing like this.
They're bringing their culture into it. That's what's important. That's what sticks. That's what makes the shit amazing.
Oh shit.
Yo, this
Nigga pop. He believe in that shit. He saying some raw shit right now. That's all I know. Ooh. Ain't doing job. I don't understand what it sounds like.
All right, so again, whether you feel as though what's happening right now is cultural appropriation or appreciation, no doubt it's happening, right? And to be aware of, as we're moving forward, you know, through time, I'm sure that there's going to be a point where hip hop is such even more of the global phenomenon that it is. When you think about, again, high fashion has taken on streetwear culture, which again originates out of hip hop. You've got Dapper Dan, who used to take designer logos and put them on the streetwear. Now streetwear manufactures their own. And a lot of that stuff is manufactured where? In China, right? You see the influence of just how people go about mixing music and performing in clubs, as well as how people introduce their music to the world. At this point with the internet, everything is up for grabs, more or less. However, the idea is it okay for a group to, or an individual to just literally copy what they're seeing and repurpose it for their own? Or should there be some type of originality and adding to what you're seeing? Because there's one thing of just taking it and copying it. There's another thing of saying, you know, I like this and I can add this to it. All right, so as we go through the world, these are the things I think that we should probably be cognizant of. But at this point, I'm finished. I appreciate you all for showing up and giving me your time. If you have any questions, if you want to know about any of the music or where I got it from, I can, you know, give it to all of you all, give you the names, all the bibliographies, all that. But yeah, I'm finished. Again, thank you for your time. Anybody have any questions? Or?
We'll start off with one. Go in the other direction. Like, what are your views on Wu-Tang Clan's relationship with like kung fu movies?
Well, actually, so Wu-Tang's done several interviews and synopsis of what got them into martial art movies, and it's not just a Wu-Tang exclusive phenomenon, but in the United States, you didn't really have too many movies where the protagonists were of color in general. So you had blaxploitation movies, you had kung fu movies. So the only time they didn't see the hero who wasn't white was in these films. So for them, it was just one of those things that this is what we're seeing. Again, they're in Staten Island. Staten Island movie theaters aren't showing blaxploitation films when they were growing up. This is what they had. So their relationship with kung fu movies isn't much different than I have older cousins who own nunchucks and are proficient with them because, again, they growing up watching it, right? However, you know, they're not also walking down the street, you know, pulling nunchucks on people and, you know, but it's just something that they've taken an interest to, and that's part of the cultural diffusion because a lot of those films were coming out of the Hong Kong movie market. They were being shipped over here. And again, if you're a member of the downtrodden part of society, you want role models who you can identify with. Or you want images that you can identify with. So they're identifying with images of just a person of color because realistically, the other way to see someone doing something right, because a lot of blaxploitation movies, you end up rooting for the bad guy, if you will. But whereas with martial art movies, the good guy he's a very clear, you know, good, genuine protagonist who's not white. Any other questions?
I want to know about gestures. You know, I often saw the rappers doing this gesture. What does it mean?
So originally it meant that you're from the West Coast.
West Coast.
Yeah, being like from California. Yep, it's definitely from the West Coast. That's originally what it means from, at least on the American side. I guess when you see other people doing it, you gotta ask them exactly what it means. I mean, they could just be, this is what rappers do, so I'm out here, you know? And some people could actually be from California, so.
Can you introduce us some of classic gestures about hip-hop culture?
Classic gestures?
Yeah.
What?
Show us some.
I mean, so, the one thing with hip-hop is tied with black people. It is a black thing. No matter who else is doing it, it's always uniquely a black art. When it changes and the dynamic shifts, it's always black people doing it. Black people talk with their hands. It's a known. We've got two students back there. As you notice when I lecture, I'm conscious of not always trying to, but even when I lecture in my classes, I move my hands, I point at things, I make nonverbal gestures, right? Because sometimes I can't say everything that I want to say. Some people are sensitive. But with all that, I think some of the gestures are just more so organic gestures that people are just doing. And that's why you see, because oftentimes, I don't have a microphone, but oftentimes you'll see people, holding, rappers don't use a stationary microphone. Singers use it, they'll stand there, they'll sing, the microphone stands, that's it. Rappers move around, they've got the mic in their hand. Oh, here it is, right? They've got the mic, and they're just, doing a show, they're trying to keep their energy up, and they're moving their hands, and it's genuine. It's not like they're thinking about like, yeah, everybody get up. It's just a thing, everybody get up. But when you also watch, say, stand-up comedians who are black, they use their hands a lot as well. It's just something about being black that just makes you move your hands when you talk. I don't know why. And really fully explain it. So I can't say they're classic hip-hop gestures. They just happen to be black people moving their hands a lot. Now people see that and they just say, this is what I'm supposed to do when I'm a rapper. I'm supposed to do all this. Which realistically, when you're holding a mic, isn't necessarily conducive. Because even the way most rappers hold the mic is why they sound distorted. You're not supposed to touch this part of the microphone. You're supposed to like hold it like out here, but then there's a manhood thing. It's a lot of unpacking to do with that. A lot of other conversations. But yeah, that's just what it is. Punk? In the sense that they're both alternative movements from the mainstream, yes. How far is a direct relationship? No. But they are both reactions to a mainstream that's not necessarily listening to what people have to say. Does that make sense? No?
You'll have like hip-hop artists that'll collaborate with punk artists like Jay-Z and Linkin Park. Like they'll collaborate together, but hip-hop artists is like more as a culture.
So what's happened is, like, there's no, like, if you think of music as a house, right? Punk and hip hop are on the same floor of the house, right? And that floor, when they first started, was the basement, right? And what do you keep in your basement? What do you keep underground? You keep things that you're not interested in underground. Right? You keep it out of the way, out of sight, things that you don't need all the time, right? That's what you keep in the basement. So they both started in the basement by people in the countries that they were undesired, because punk really comes out of Britain, hip hop comes out of the US, but they're both in the house of music. They're both kind of like, we're not really dealing with you all, right? Marginalized people. But, they're not related in musically, if that makes sense. I hope I answered your question. Any other questions?
What's your opinions about that, like similar videos? You think it's a copy or imitation? Or it's just a way to like let more people to know hip hop culture?
Well, I don't think the problem is a lot of people knowing hip hop culture. And that's the thing, like when I was saying, are they copying or are they, actually doing something organic that's inspired by something else. And that's something that you can only really know by specifically talking to each person. However, what it looks like a lot of times is that they're just copying. That's what it looks like. When I hear the music, and I also hear music a bit differently, being a former DJ, right? I can hear all of the similarities. I can hear the counts. I can hear the way that the rhyme scheme is being delivered. However, maybe that's just, again, like when you listen to some artists in other genres of music, you can tell that there's a direct correlation because that's who they were listening to, so that's who they wanted to be like. They just came along 20 years later. In this case, they're coming along 3, 4, even 2 years later, so it's like, what are you doing? But when you're on the other side of the world, maybe you're not thinking about it like that, right? Because the Higher Brothers market is way different than, say, Migos' demographic. Any other questions?
Most of the example that you have given is about trap music, right? Trap.
So, yes, I guess you could classify most of these examples as trap music. But trap music is hip hop. There'd be no trap music without hip hop. So it's like a sub-genre, if you will.
So why you didn't introduce more about the old school music or jazz rap music just now?
Mostly, I didn't talk about the older there are older correlations before trap music, but I wanted to, I only had an hour, and I wanted to, you know, I guess relate more to what's happening now. But yeah, you are right. It was mostly trap music.
Who is your favorite rapper?
Of all time? In the whole world. The whole world. Andre 3000, hands down. Okay. Andre 3000, he's out. I was just listening to him. Any other questions? Comments, concerns, elements? All right, well again, like I said, I thank you for your time. I hope you all stay. There's food and somebody's gonna play a game with you guys, but this is my time. Thank you so much. And